This volume of Game of Names happens to be number 22, so we're going to do all names and categories that have something to do with the letter V. So without any wasting of time, we'll jump right into our people. Since we're on the letter V in this episode, Everything Vital, we have a pitcher named Vida Blue, who was the first pitcher in Major League Baseball to star in All-Star games for both the American League and the National League, and this was back in the 70s. So with a name like Vida, we have vital, identified, dia, action, base, as it lie, unit, expressing. So what would a base as it lie unit expressing be when you relay it to vital, identified, dia, action? He was a pitcher, and he was born July, severed and even or generated and grouped, 28th, based here or blank space, 1949, being dia, identity. So if you were going to generate and group or severed and even something in this based here space, dia, your identity, he was a pitcher, a very well-known pitcher for Major League Baseball in the 70s, Vida Blue. Now we have Galileo Galilei. His full name is very long and difficult to understand, but I want to use it because it shows a lot of the switching of letters and how things actually matter and we live them out in bodies. Now, Galileo Galilei, just his simple known name, is the same spelling except for the last letter. First it's Galileo with an O, then it's Galilei with an I. His full name being Galileo di Vincenzo Bonoiti di Galilei. So he's got a D-I before Vincenzo, and then he's got Bonoiti D-E apostrophe, Galilei. We go from the generated active as it lie identified, as it lie expressing ongoing. Okay, so it's as it lie identified, and from that as it lie expressing ongoing. D-I, dia, identity. Vincenzo, vital identified notion constant to itself, expressing notion from one side to the other ongoing. That's a V. Now we have Bonoiti with a B. A V is 22, 2 any, and a B is 2, base. So it's base ongoing notion, active identified unit plus identity. And then, like it had DI before Vincenzo, and after Bonoiti, DE apostrophe, we have that dia, the expression on its upward idea. I mean, I know it sounds silly to say that, but the apostrophe is that slash upward. So it's di Galilei. So we went from Galileo, D-I-V, to a B-D-E, to Galilei, generated and grouped or severed and even, active as it lie, identified, as it lie, expressing the identity. He's known as one of the great astronomers, the father of astronomy and the scientific method. I mean, look at his name and go really deep into trying to understand this breakdown. It's kind of hard when I see this without having to do this for people, but I really try to make it fun and educational because this is the deep root under it all. Galileo di Vincenzo Bonoiti di Galilei. I'll do it full straight through. Generated and grouped, active as it lie, identified as it lie, expressing the ongoing. Dia, identity. Vital identified notion, constant to itself, expressed notion from one side to the other ongoing. Base ongoing notion, active, identified unit, plus identified. Dia, expression of a higher idea, generated and grouped, active as it lie, identified as it lie, expressing the identity. So he's got everything involved in that. A person observing the world around them and taking it in and identifying it. That's his full name, Galileo Galilei. Galileo di Vincenzo Bonoiti di Galilei. Birthday, February, the base, 15th, ongoing or actively expressing, AE, 1564, the active expressing form, force, or familiar, dia, to and from, or you could say 15 as ongoing, form, force, or familiar, dia, to and from. So he's the guy who is known as the father of astronomy. Really take it in, listen to it a couple times if you need to. I know this is almost like a foreign language, but it's not. It's the base of everything and everyone. So it's quite important to learn, and I'm only doing it because I love you with all my heart. So we'll move on to another. The ever so famous and heavily quoted Carl Gustav Jung. Born July 26, 1875. Carl, constant to itself or the unseen concept, active, reference, ling, or as it lie. Gustav, generated and grouped, unit or underlying, subject, plus, active, vital. Jung, coming into tense or the junction, underlying or unit, notion or nature, generated and grouped. He was a psychiatrist and a psychoanalyst, and he had so many things. If you look into Jung, you'll know all about him, so I don't have to go into depth about what he did and who he was. July 26th, generated and grouped. 26 is Z from one side to the other, or based, form, force, or familiar. 1875 is the reference, generated and grouped expression. So see how he was worldly and universal, and he talked about everything, and he was very deep. It wasn't just because of his name, it was because he lived in it. If you live in your true vibration, it's always going to be sound and good. And that doesn't mean you're going to make constant good actions. None of these people were constantly great. We just praise them for what they did that was good and don't dive into anything bad. And we shouldn't, because if we dwell on all the things we've done wrong, we'll just keep repeating them. I mean, if you look at them and learn from them, great. But if you don't have to look at them to learn from those lessons in life that provide you with the same experiences, just in a different way, each lifetime, you can still come out with morals based on whatever individual course you're on. It's a together journey in individual pieces. So Carl Gustav Jung, real quick, constant to itself or the unseen concept, active reference, ling, generated and grouped, unit, subject plus active vital, tense, junction, underlying notion, generated and grouped. July, generated and grouped, 26th, from one side to the other, 1875, the reference of generated and grouped expression. Carl Gustav Jung. This next person may not be very old or well known, but we've got to give credit where credit is due, because many people ask me if this applies to children. And the best way I can explain that is, if a child carves out a name for themselves in the present moment and they happen to be young, then yes, it applies to them. Otherwise, most children are being taught to follow along and listen to what they're told. This person, Zaila Avant-Garde, is Z-A-I-L-A. From one side to the other, activated, identified, la, or ling, activated, and then avant-garde, active, vital, active, notion, plus, hyphenated with, generated and grouped, active, reference, to and from, expression. She is a world-class spelling bee champion. That's what she's known for. She's a spelling bee champion. Zaila Avant-Garde. If somebody asks her how to spell from one side to the other, active identified, la, a language or word, and then avant-garde is to activate the vital active reference plus, hyphenated with, generated and grouped, active reference, to and from, or dia, the expression. Do you see how that perfectly applies with a spelling bee champion? And a great deal of congratulations to her, because she's many steps ahead of a lot of people. Does it mean she's going to understand the deeper part? No, but there's a good chance, especially if we help our children learn what is instead of what they've been told. Since I'm doing V's in this episode, I figured I should include the ever so popular Roe v. Wade. And I'll break down both of the people involved and also the nickname used. Think about Tarzan and Jane. Tarzan of the Jungle, J-U-N. How we just did Carl Jung. Now we have Jungle, of the Jungle. And Jane with Tarzan. J-A-N-E. Just like January's the beginning of the year, the new era, coming into tense, Jan. Now Jane, the intense, active notion or nature expressed, Jane. Followed by Roe instead of Jane Doe. It's the junction active nature expressed as that reference or the active here ongoing expression. Her name being Norma Leah Nelson McCorvey. You have Norma, notion ongoing reference, manifest active. Now it says no R ma. Okay, just think about it. And she's the person who was fighting for abortion. Leah, as it lie, expressing active here. So what's as it lie expressing active here? To someone who wants a nor ma. Now, Nelson, Nell, not null, but Nell. This notion expressed as it lie, subject ongoing notion. Okay, What happens if you have a notion expressing as it lie and you wanted to subject S less than the T, that ongoing notion? You would abort it. Now McCorvey, M, manifest concept to itself, little c. Now a big C, unseen concept to itself on top of the little c. So she's the manifested concept with a big unseen concept upon itself, ongoing reference, vital. Now you express that with a vital identity. So she's a person who was known vitally, identified vitally, for wanting to get rid of her child. She never did, but that's a different story, and you can look into all that. But see how she lives her name completely. And then her birthday being September 22nd, 1947, you have September, which is 9, the I, 22, vital or based base, and then 47, dia, to or from, 7, generated and grouped or severed and even. What would happen if you abort your baby? It's severed and even, or it's generated or grouped, or it's dia, you're generated and grouped, 47. I know I'm speaking in a language that isn't familiar, even though it's using English words, but this is what letters mean. And everybody lives their resonation, no matter what. They're living their vibration extremely in the world around them, according to their name. And they bring up new things in their era if they're living in their name. When one of their channels or one of their energy centers is off, it goes more in that kind of direction. Somebody who doesn't want to have a baby. Someone who wants to kill her own offspring. Well, why? Because some of her lower chakras are out of tune. We may say it in different ways, but guess what? That's what's happening. I just talk this way because this is the person I am. I don't have an extensive background studying any of this stuff. I experienced it, and I'm showing you how it works without having to go too deep into something that isn't going to help us fix the planet we're on. It's not about individual people having this wonderful, great time. No, we're not going to have a great time until we save ourselves from tyranny, until we actually free ourselves from being victimized on a daily basis. That's the only way to be free and have the freedom to exercise and to learn your body and spirit to the depth of it. If we don't have freedom, we'll never be able to do that. We're always going to be spending all of our mental energy on stuff that doesn't matter. And now we're spending so much time doing that, we defend it because we're used to it. And so many people don't know what to do without the life they're used to, even though they don't really like it. Anyway, I'll move on to the next guy. Opposed to Jane Doe in the infamous case of Roe v. Wade was Henry Manasco Wade, November 11th, 1914. Henry, just the idea of a chicken and a hen being the female. The hen reference vital identity. Manasco, manifest express notion as co, or manifest express notion, active subject, unseen concept, ongoing. Wade, plural, active, dia, expression. So if there was a hen with a reference of a vital identity, and it was manifest express notion, active subject, unseen concept, ongoing, and you wanted them to have the baby, plural, active, dia, expression. On November, which is 11, actively active, 11th, actively active, a separate one, another separate kinetic of its kind, 1914, the active, identified, or the subject, 19, notion, or acting, dia, to and from, coming in tense, to and from, 14 is AD, active, dia, or that notion. So 1111 is two separate kinetics, or two separate things of its kind, actively active, and 1914 is the subject, active, dia, or the subject, notion, to subject that notion. So he was saying to have the baby, or to not allow it to be aborted. Henry, Manasco, to say to manifest express notion as co, unseen concept, ongoing. So to have it. And then with Wade being plural, active, dia, expression, do you see how this all just lines completely straight up? So that someone can come along and tell you, and this is the only way I can show you that I know how to save our planet, because everything adds up. No one else is showing you this stuff simply like this. They're trying to get you out there stuck on something. I have nothing to gain from you but to teach you. And that once you settle your mind and only do the basic things you need, then we can expand on that in ways that are in correspondence or in harmony with our environment, instead of doing it the opposite way around. We have to take a very sudden crash or a very sudden change in what we've been doing. And however many of us are going to take that, that's just how it is. We have to do it, one way or the other. It's going to be enforced upon us, and then the aftermath of that is going to be something that many of us can't handle, or we do it together. That's the great challenge that we face right now, and we can do that. So there was Henry Manasco Wade, the other half of the Roe v. Wade case. See how their names and birthdays align perfectly. One is 9/22, and the other one is 11/11. So the one identifies as its own vital, or identifies and separates a vital. And then the other is 11/11, which is actively active and actively active, separate. To have that be exactly what they are, I'm telling you, and I have been showing you for a long time, that this is no coincidence. It's just so deep and so real and so true, you don't know how to handle it or what could it do for you, and it has nothing to offer you other than spiritual understanding. That's the true currency that you're looking to gather here. That's the true knowledge and wisdom and experience that you really want from this life, not the material world. Those are the attachments that keep you stuck. You can have them, they can be there, but until you really understand the difference, it's good to go without for a while. And that may hurt a lot of people just because they can't handle it. That's just the way it is. But if you offer enough love and show enough guidance, it can be done. I'm attempting to do that with everything I've got. So, on to the next. Next we have Dr. Walter D. Longo. His birthday being October 9th, 1967, is intense, identity, subjecting, form, force, or familiar, generated or grouped. What would that be? The body. And his name being Walter, not Walter, not a plural that alters, a vital alter, a vital, active, as it lie, plus express reference. D, his middle initial, to and from, dia, longo, as it lie, ongoing notion, generated and grouped, ongoing. He's a doctor that goes into depth about how we prolong our lives, and he's got the longevity diet. Dr. Walter D. Longo. He's a longevity doctor. I mean, it's almost too perfectly obvious. But I'm trying to show people everyone lives their vibration. Is it fun? Sometimes. Hell yeah, it is. Is it weird? Definitely. Is it true? Most definitely. That's the point. We've got to do what is right. We've got to do what is meant to be done, not what other people have convinced you to do by tricking you. And then we can truly have longevity. Now, I'm not big on keeping up on social media, people, but this one happens to be quite popular this day and age, and I had one of my friends that I do interviews with bring him up to me and tell me, if you need something to laugh at every once in a while, there's this guy, Vladimir Shmondenko, that you should check out. When you look at his name and understand what this all means, he fits perfectly, of course, with what he does. Okay, he was born August 10th, 1999, 8/10/1999. And his original birth name was spelled Vladimir, but instead of Vladimir, it was Volodymyr. So now you take that and say, vital, ongoing, as it lie, ongoing, to and from, vitally identified manifestation, vitally identify the reference, or active here, because R is 18. So it's a vital, ongoing, as it lie, ongoing, dia, vital identity, manifested, vital identity, reference. Then you subject here, manifest, ongoing notion, to and from, expressing notion, kinetic, ongoing. And he is a power lifter. He's known for a guy who walks around through weight gyms, and while people are trying to deadlift or pick up something really heavy, he'll just walk up and pick it up with ease, and he's much smaller in size than these guys. And with a name like Vladimir Shmondenko, it fits who he is. Being born August 10th, which is the 8th month here, 10, intense, 99, identified upon itself. Do you see how he is a powerlifter that can pick things up? He picks things up and put things down, It's literally his name and his resonation, and it fits perfectly. It's not just a coincidence. It's just so mind-blowing that every person is in their place. Now, what we do is realize we're not our names, and we fix the problems that we see in the world instead of just living our vibration. It's great to do fun things. It's great to do fascinating, impressive things, but we've got to help each other from this peril that we're heading to. So we'll move on to the next. But before I do, I can't leave out that his name that he goes by on his YouTube channel is Anatoly. Anatoly. Now see how this is all magic. Take that name, Vladimir Shmondenko, the guy, I'm not going to break it down again. Literally a person who can pick things up from where they are, where it's at. When you say Anna before something, very bottom line is an A, a vowel. N, the very first letter of the second half of the alphabet. So it's the notion. So active from the very bottom line, we have a notion. And then the word at, Anatoly. So where something's at, from where something was at, an at, ongoing, as it lie, vitally identified, to pick it up, Anatoly. Now you vitally identify something from where it's at. You at, ole. And at the same time, that fits him. It sounds funny and goofy. This is life. Life is beautiful. We just get so wrapped up in other people's stories. And nature is this simple. You don't have to be super simple, but at the same time, there's no reason to be so damn complicated. Nature is calling you and saying, hey, wake up. You guys are way out of bounds. Get your shit together, please. That's what nature would be saying. It wouldn't just be tweet, tweet, twiddle, twiddle. We need to fix this. This problem is all of ours, and that should be first priority. Anyway, now we'll move on to the next. Next, we have one of the all-time horror movie greats, Vincent Leonard Price, born May 27th, 1911. Vital identified notion, constant to itself, expressed notion plus, or you could say vital identified notion, unseen entity, ent. Vincent. Leonard, Ling, express ongoing notion, active reference, dia. Price, potential piece or placement, reference identified, constant to itself or unseen concept expressed. Now he's a person who talks about and does, or did at least, have a lot with horror movies and ghosts and goblins and ghouls and the unknown. Now his birthday being May 5, expression 27th, base generated and grouped or question mark. And then 1911, the subject of active activity or the subject of kinetics. With a name like Vincent Leonard Price, if you had Vincent and then you had a price on that, it would be death or a ghost or something unknown or scary. See how his name is exactly what he did in the world. All right, we're going to take this episode out of here with none other than Jose Silva. Many people know Jose Silva, and he is known for a lot of meditation techniques. A lot of things are based off of him for astral travel and for out-of-body experiences and many things like that. His birthday is August, which is H here, 11, which is actively active, just like all these other people we had that were 922, the identified vital, and then we had 1111, and then we had people like Carl Jung. Now we have Jose, which is the J, intense, ongoing, subject, express, and the express has another one of those accents going upwards, Jose. And then Silva, subject identified as a lie or ling, vital, active. So he was known for out-of-body experiences and teaching intuition. Born on 8 here, actively active or kinetic. 1914, which is subject active dia or subject notion. So being born 8/11/1914, he's here, kinetic, subjecting that notion. And his name being Jose, junction ongoing, subject express with a accent upward. Silva, subject identified, ling, vital, active. And he's for out-of-body experiences. And it all corresponds with everything. This is the living word, and this is the game of names. That's going to wrap this episode up. I love you guys. Until next time, peace and God bless.